Okay, first things first, thank you so, so much for all your awesome support. Every share, every like, every comment. You guys are the freaking best. My subscriber count has tripled and the views are off the chain on this video. And Ezio Auditore himself left a comment on my freaking page. So I feel like I have pretty much arrived and I am so feeling the assassin love. So y'all just keep it coming and I will keep the videos coming, and this is going to be just fucking fantastic because I'm going to start doing some in-depth videos. I'm going to go into all of the mythology, all of the symbolism, religion, secret societies, astrology, numerology, the symbols, the subject 16, all that stuff, and the psychology and storytelling of Assassin's Creed. So I hope you'll come along. So I was going to address this fake-ass picture. I'm a professional photographer, and I'm going to tell you that's fake. I had all these slides about it. I'm over it. His head looks like Rick James. I'm done. And then I was going to do the screenshots for the next game, but then they did a trailer, so let's just watch it. Holy fucking shit, can you believe how amazing that looks? Do you see the reflection of the window and the marble on the wall? Are you fucking kidding me? Phrygian cap on the poster. Notice he's not standing on a roost. He or she, because I'm still not convinced it's a guy. I feel like he's hiding a boob under that weird costume. I really don't like the outfit. Now it's funny, this guillotine, because I have one in the video already. I was done editing when the stupid trailer came out. Well, there it is. It was a teaser, but it was enough, was it not? I am so pumped. This room alone gave me freaking goosebumps. The rest of the environment looks really cool, and, you know, I'm fucking excited. So I was wrong about the time frame. French Revolution, great. I'm not convinced that this is a guy. It looks like it's Desmond's face or something, so I think they might be using an old character model. But that top of that jacket just looks funny to me, and the waistband on those screenshots really looked feminine. Now notice he's holding something in his left hand, and he does not have a hidden blade. I think he's a Templar. I think that we're going to play a Templar in Unity. I think that's what the Unity thing's about. People have said, well, I think it's about co-op. I think we're going to do co-op. And that would be cool if one of us was an assassin and the other was a Templar. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's about uniting the Templars and the assassins against the, greater threat, which at this point is Juno, because we've turned her into Lawnmower Man. So there's 2 games that are supposed to come out in 2014, per rumor, okay? First one being Unity. That one was just released today for pre-order. The other one is Comet, or that's what they're calling it, and that's going to be on last-gen consoles. I'm going for, of course, I already done this, but it's the Revolution, and for Comet, I'm going for 16th century China, and we'll go into more about that in a few minutes. So the gender thing was, like, hotly debated. Like, a lot of people, there's guys that don't want to play girls, and there was even girls that are like, the leading men are a little too sexy for me anyhow. Me personally, I don't care which way or the other, but I will say this much. Females make up almost half of the gaming community. We spend half the money on the games, so we deserve a girl. And I gotta tell you guys, Assassin's Creed's been preparing you for this moment since the inception. With Maria Thorpe. She's a strong, badass chick, I think they screwed up with Aveline. They shouldn't have done that whole charm thing. I didn't like it either. But, playing a girl character is not all that freaking bad. And I'm like, are you guys, choosing your games based on this? I really hope not, I'm thinking of all the amazing games that are out there where it's only a female that, that's the only choice you have. Are you telling me you don't play these games because they're girls? I mean, that's just really sad, you guys. If that's what you're doing, you should really stop it and broaden your horizons. But as far as Assassin's Creed goes, I don't think you're going to have a choice. I don't think with this game and this story structure that you can have one without the other. So eventually, even if it's not right now, you're going to be stuck with that female character.
Scanning. 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 What am I? What am I? Lost.
So Subject 15 was another big topic with everybody, and one of my viewers brought up a really good point that really got my wheels turning in my head. He said, maybe Subject 15 is Lucy. Even though she filled out that death report for Subject 15, maybe Lucy just lost her shit just like Clay did, and just didn't know up from down at that point in time.
Reasoning centers active. I understand. I understand what I must do. Why I am here. I must. Long-term memory centers active. No. No. Get it out. Get it. Kill me.
See, at first I was thinking this is the baby, the pregnant thing, and like she wants the baby out for some reason. But then I realized that, she's a traitor, basically, and a sleeper agent, and they probably brainwashed her, and I'm sure she went through this procedure.
Now go on.
There.
Clay's made me raise a brow more than once with the things he said.
I'm in bed with her. She cries as I fuck her. I'm speaking at the forum. No one listens. I'm in the forest hunting. Oh, the moon. I can see the moon.
Like, for the longest time, I thought those were all about assassination contracts, but what if they're not?
My mind is gone. Lucy, I can't wait any longer. I'm ready to go. She sees me raise the knife.
Now, here's the thing, like, maybe Clay and Lucy hooked up and she got pregnant, and she is Subject 15, and it's his baby. And maybe, like, the reason that all that confusion went on with that animus thing is because that was the bleeding effect with the baby. The whole thing was Subject 15. Like, what if the whole time we were sitting there talking to that thing, we were actually talking to the freaking baby? I mean, it's plausible. It really is, because they could have taken that baby in utero or raised it in the lab or whatever. Because think about when it came to see Desmond, how confused it was.
Compiling subsystems. Infrastructure. Tendons. Heart.
Voice.
Subject 16?
Yes. Yes. Subject 17.
You're dead. I saw your blood.
No time. It is far later than you know. Too late to save them.
Who?
She is not who you think she is. Everything you hope to become, everything you hold dear, it's already gone.
Explain. Please.
Like, maybe he's talking about Lucy. I always thought he was talking about the first civilization and all that. But maybe he's talking about save them as in her and the baby. Because one of my viewers said maybe when Desmond stabbed her, he killed her and his baby, or Clay's baby, whose ever baby. But I don't think so. I think that baby lived, and I think it's still hanging around. It brings a whole new meaning to this scene.
I am with you till the end. Find me in the darkness.
Now, another one of my viewers brought up something in the same vein. He's like, hey, why the hell were Adam and Eve running from somebody, and who the hell was chasing them? And I was already thinking about this with those glitches. I'm like, what's the deal with those glitches? You're like standing over somebody you just assassinated, and all of a sudden they're standing up looking at you like nothing happened. Who the fuck's perspective is that?
It's done then. Your schemes, like you, are put to rest.
You know nothing of schemes. You're but a puppet.
So let's get into a few locations. I, of course, went with China, but there are other things that people wanted to see, like the Vikings. You guys are pretty passionate about your Vikings, like, yes, give us Vikings. But I cannot find a damn thing to connect Vikings with the larger picture right now. The only thing I found is that the Abstergo logo looks suspiciously like the Volknet, but that's it. If I find anything else, I will surely report. Japan's another subject that everybody's all up on and have been for a long time. I don't think we're going there anytime soon, but I will say this. On the Yonaguni thing, I looked up the diagram of it, and it looks suspiciously like that temple that Aveline went to in Chichen Itza. And also, when I was looking at Mont Saint Michael for my France piece, I found this place as a sister city, which I found kind of coincidental. I think if we ever do go to Japan, we're going to go in the time of Oda Nobunaga. He's pretty cool as a Civ character, so I'm going with that. But the flower thing, too. There's also Egypt. Everybody wants to go there. I do, too. I think that would be fucking awesome. I do want to point out something I learned. The pyramids there, they line up with Orion's belt. And in case you didn't know, Orion has been associated with Osiris, and Osiris and Isis are known to be the same as Jupiter and Juno in traditional mythology. But we'll go with Aida and Juno. I think if we go back there, we're going to be going back to the first civilization stuff, and she's going to be trying to get that Ankh to bring her love of her life back to life. I think if we do go there, it's going to be freaking beautiful because it's Egypt and there's so much cool stuff. We might get to see Cleopatra's assassination, or maybe even be there with Altair's family. His son moved there. But I think that Numa guy looks freaking cool. Really kick-ass, so I'm for it. So for Unity, we know we are going to France, and we're going to be there during the French Revolution. And I think we're going to go back to Mont Saint Michael at some point. We're definitely going to see Notre Dame, obviously. We'll go to the Bastille, and that one on the left is actually a Templar castle in real life. Joan of Arc's clearly not going to be there because she's dead, but I think that Napoleon's probably going to be trying to get a hold of that sword of hers. And I'm not real sure how that story is going to play out because I still think we're going to be Templar based. So I think we might be kind of, quote, the bad guys in this situation. There's going to be a lot of people dressed like that, wearing Phrygian caps. And, oh, by the way, the Phrygian cap thing, the only place you can find it with the Eye of Providence is here on the Declaration of Human Rights of Man, something like that. I think I just messed it up. But it's basically like the Declaration of Independence. This was drafted during the Revolution, so that's why that's there. Marie Antoinette, something with a necklace. She basically started the revolution, apparently, so I'm sure she'll be there. Plenty of guillotines and beheadings are going to be going on, and the Rosetta Stone was discovered in Egypt during this time period, too, and I think that'll probably come up. There was also a women's rights movement, and I think that's probably going to be central to our story in some shape or form. And I really hope we get to meet the Marquis de Sade because he was a freaking party animal and he was into some seriously geeky shit. And I think it would probably be, like, thoroughly hilarious and entertaining to get to go check him out. So let's talk about the box. I know you guys are like, what the fuck's in the box? We went back and forth in comments, and I did a freaking buttload of research. There were some pretty colorful ideas as to what might be in there. One person did point out that Joan couldn't have touched it because she was dead. I know that. I think it was just connected to France. I don't think it's going to be a Shard of Eden because it's kind of useless and boring, really. We already seen one. Same thing with the temple key, but I do want you to remember that symbol. One of my viewers brought up the Koh-i-Noor, or however that's pronounced, codename the mountain. It's basically like a Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all piece of Eden that's supposed to, quote, unify all the other pieces. Seems kind of likely considering the game's called Unity. I'm going to put all this text up here that came from one of the first civilization people when someone touched it. And let you see what you think. There's a lot of unity, heart, basically saying that, you're going to have to come together or else you can't wield this. And they reference you again when I think they're talking to you. One thing I want to point out about that diamond is that only women can wield it. Only women can touch it. And, we're going to have to get together or else, Juno's going to get us. So I think what's in the box is a Philosopher's Stone. And I know you're like, what? That one? And yeah, that one. It's a real thing. So remember seeing all the stuff about the Aztec god and the Chinese emperor. Well, I think that Unity and Comet are how these two stories are going to come together. And I think all of these glyphs are going to start making a little more sense. Because all of this stuff surrounds that Aztec god whose name I can't pronounce, so I won't try. He's a feathered serpent god, and he's also been known to be depicted as the circular snake eating its own tail. It's called an Ouroboros or something like that. He had a brother whose name I also can't pronounce, who was depicted as a hummingbird, which is associated with creation. Now, there are some interesting things about this god. You should look him up. But one thing that I want to point out is he was impersonated by Hernan Cortez. And that's how all of this stuff is going to roll in together and connect with the bigger story. All this stuff went down in a city that I can't pronounce. That's near Mexico City. I think that one glyph actually points to this, not the Machu Picchu. And I'm starting to question whether the other one is actually Chichen Itza or not. But the two of them are very similar. The Mayan and the Aztec had very similar architecture, so it could be either one on that one. But the one with the mountains, I'm definitely going with this one. There's a story about those two mountains. They're actually volcanoes. The time when all this stuff is discovered, around 1523, there was a sage in the Caribbean there that's in the notes that says that 150 years before Roberts got there was another one there, 1523. So I think we're probably going to go to that Aztec city at some point. How it connects to the story right now, though, is through one of those outside stories. I forget it. It was a book, I think, involving Giovanni Borgia. Now, he left Italy and went to Spain, and he got on a boat with Hernan Cortez. And they went across the Atlantic over to Mexico. And what happened there is Hernan Cortez pretended to be a god to these Aztec people. He used their, quote, savageness as an excuse to slaughter them. He wanted their money. That's what that Quetzalcoatl's hunger is about. It's not about the actual god. It's about Cortez and his greed. So Giovanni Borgia got a crystal skull while he was there, and he brought it to Bombastus. And Bombastus figured out how to create the Philosopher's Stone. This is supposed to be like an elixir of life type thing. Bombastus probably gave it to Ezio, and Ezio gave it to Shao Jun, and then she took it over to China. China, Dylan here, he bet his left nut that we would go there, so let's all cross our fingers for Dylan's left nut. China's really pretty. I think the architecture is perfect for an Assassin's Creed game. So is the history, I don't know why people are so on Japan. Shao Jun's there too, and she's fucking awesome. I mean, she invented the rope dart, and in case you didn't know it, she didn't use hidden blades. She had like little needle dart things and a toe knife. Like, who needs ninjas when you have a fucking knife in your shoe and you're like slitting people's throats? I mean, come on. All this stuff went on around the Zhaijing Emperor's reign, and he loved him some concubines. He had them kept up in a hole with a bunch of eunuchs who couldn't have sex with them or impregnate them. And actually, they did revolt in real life and try to assassinate him. In the AC lore, what he did was he slaughtered all of the girls. Shao Jun's a former concubine from the previous emperor. And that's why Shao Jun went to seek out Ezio, because she needed advice, she needed mentorship because of that. So I'm sure when she goes back to China, it's all going to be all about retribution for her. Zhaijing still had his other issues. He had some pirate problems, so there's some naval gameplay for you. And the big thing I want to point out is in 1556, there was a comet. And right after that comet, there was a huge earthquake. It was like the worst earthquake ever. And I think that's a good stage to be set for some disastrous First Civ type stuff. Zhaijing died in 1567, and the way that he's rumored to have died was by trying to imbibe something that was supposed to be a Philosopher's Stone. So what's that got to do with Joan of Arc in France? Well, let's go back in time a little bit more before Joan of Arc and look back at the map, because Altair's son, Darim, he went to Mongolia to probably take the sword that Genghis Khan had. We know he assassinated him in 1227, and at some point between 1227 and 1247, he traveled over to Paris to notify the Brotherhood of some kind of impending danger. So I'm sure he took the sword, probably locked it up, and then Joan found it. So now you've got the sword in France in the 15th century before Shao Jun's even born, and that's fine. But I still think that as a woman and probably an assassin, I don't know what Joan's history is going to be about, but, you know, she's probably going to want to do some kind of pilgrimage, or maybe she just wants to go there to get that sword or whatever, and she's going to take that box with her when she goes back to France. Then, I don't know what happens to Shao Jun, but I'm pretty sure that some Templar gets hold of that box, and that's how it ends up on a boat in 1735. Adewale gets it, and he gives it to Bastien. Bastien and Adewale had a child together, and he's unnamed, and not much is known about him, but we do know that he had a son named Eseosa. And I think that what probably happened with that box is that it was passed down to that son. So Adewale's grandson probably had it when he went into the Haitian Revolution, and guess who they were fighting? The French. So I think he probably bit the dust at some point, and the Templars took the stone back from him. And across the pond it goes, back to France, just in time for the French Revolution, for this video game to come out, the other video game to come out, and for all of it to actually tie in together and be relevant. So let's talk about the 6th. This is something else that everybody kind of loved to discuss. You know, when I said something about the 6th assassin and everything, like I said, that was way out there, but the number 6 is very important to Assassin's Creed, and we'll be going into that in those in-depth series videos that I'm going to do. But for now, I want to talk about this. Did you know this room was full of Morse code? All those lights there, that's Morse code. And it says, "Beware the daughter of the 6th." There's also a circle there that is the symbol for the sun, or the Jungian symbol for self. There's a rose in the center. And that rose does mean something, but I'm not going to go into that because that's a really long story. But I want you to remember that symbolism. Saturn is the 6th planet from the sun, and he is also the Titan father of Juno. And there's her symbol above the door. And I don't know if you've forgotten what happens, but once you go through that door, Juno says something that I think is pretty important.
They must all suffer as we suffered.
I'm going to leave you on that note. I think there's going to be a huge story to tell with the Saturn thing, and I'm going to go into that with the mythology and the storytelling portion of my videos. So I really hope you'll come along and join me for that, because it's going to be a hell of a ride. I've got so much information. If you want to get a head start, you can go and look up this phrase on Google and do some reading, because that's really going to be the central idea of my whole thing going forward. And it'll all make sense in the end, I promise. So I hope you join me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
I know you are there. I want to go home. Home. Please. I need you. Don't leave me here in the dark.